Hello, this is psychicpodcasts.com. I'm Psychic Sahar.
Wilma Davidson, author, Reiki Master, Dowser, exorcist, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'd love to talk to you about your new book, which has just been released by Llewellyn, and it's entitled Spirit Rescue, a simple guide to talking with ghosts and freeing earthbound spirits. The burning question is, what are earthbound spirits, Wilma?
Earthbound spirits are the spirits of people who have died and for one reason or another have not moved on the next part of their journey.
So what makes them earthbound?
Well, there's a range of things. I mean, there are people who believe that death is the end. As far as they're concerned, there is nothing after death.
Right.
So they don't expect anything, so they stay there.
Right.
Then there are those who have feelings of guilt. Perhaps they owe somebody an apology.
Right.
Or perhaps they're concerned about their will, or they're not happy about the way the furniture is being arranged, and so on. So there are a lot of different reasons why people can stay. And also, of course, there are spirits who can be trapped by a band of negative energy from geopathic stress.
Really?
So, there's a lot of different reasons why spirits are there. But 99% of all spirits that are there are friendly. So there's nothing to worry about. They're not going to attack you.
Now, you've literally coaxed hundreds of spirits to the light.
Yes.
And you've worked with some interesting energies, Titanic, people who perished on the Titanic, as well as animals and children. Can these earthbound spirits harm you?
Not at all. No, the only thing that might happen is occasionally you will find yourself being pushed or the feeling that somebody has tripped you up. And this is when a spirit is desperately trying to get your attention.
Right.
One of the problems a spirit has is they can see you, but you can't see them.
That's right.
So of course, they get very frustrated because they speak to you, but you don't answer.
Right.
And sometimes they will, in desperation, they will
try and get your attention.
Push you, because often someone will tell you that they're convinced that they were pushed, and of course, in actual fact, they had been pushed by an invisible force.
That's interesting. And are earthbound spirits the same as ghosts? How can we tell the difference?
An earthbound spirit is a spirit of somebody who has died. A ghost is a memory imprint. It's a scene which is sort of caught in time, and it is repeated, like the headless horseman that is reported every now and again, or perhaps somebody who has run across the road and been hit by a car, and when they report it to the police will say, well, we regularly get this happening, and it is a spirit which perhaps died years ago, but this is caught in time and just keeps...
Like an energy print.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not anything to do with a trapped spirit.
And how do you actually move spirits away from your home?
Well, I move them simply by talking to them.
Really?
Because if you sort of send out a thought to them, they pick up your thought, and they can hear what you're saying, just the same as once our loved ones have passed, you can talk to them and they hear you. So what I do is I usually clear the energy, because sometimes the situation can be quite negative. So I clear the energy and send them healing, and then I talk to them and either tell them to go to the light or ask the angelic kingdom for angels to escort them. It depends
to help them along. Yes. Is this mentally, telepathically you talk to them, or does it have to be out loud?
No, I do it mentally.
Because they can connect with that.
A lot of people do talk to the deceased quite loudly. When they're wandering around the house, they'll talk to their husband and sort of say, why did you do this, or why can't you be here to help me with this?
Yes.
So it doesn't actually make any difference.
And how do you actually pick up that there's a presence there?
Well, you'll often feel the energy. You'll feel a draft, or it instinctively tells you that there's something not quite right. You'll see your dog's hackles going up, or the cat will sit and stare very intently at the wall. So you get things like this which let you know there is a spirit presence. Now, sometimes it can be a family member who is deceased who comes back to visit. So they're not
necessarily what we might feel is not always an earthbound spirit.
No. Often it can just be somebody. You'll be sitting and suddenly you feel a chill near you, or you might get a whiff of a pipe or perfume or baked bread. And usually, when you get whiffs like that, that is a spirit letting you know that they've come to visit.
Oh.
They're usually not earthbound.
Just popping in.
The earthbound ones are usually quite consistent. They keep, sort of making you aware of their presence.
Ah. Is it because they kind of, in some way, recognize that they're stuck, so they're trying to get attention for help?
Yes. Yes, they are. They're lost. A lot of them, they're there because perhaps they've got a guilty conscience. They've maybe done something when they were alive that they feel very bad about it, and they think, well, there's no way we'd get into heaven. And there's others who are perhaps there waiting to go through the fires because their religion has taught them that there are fires.
Ah.
And, there's all sorts
so it's according to their belief system when they were alive. Yes.
Yes, they've all got different... So much depends on what their beliefs were when they were alive, how they react when they die.
I found your book really fascinating because it explains all these complex things and issues. It answers a lot of questions in a very easy way that anyone can understand. And in a sense, it demystifies, a lot of misunderstandings about dealing with spirits. You mentioned a lovely story about a French girl when you were filming a BBC documentary. Can you tell our listeners about that incident?
Yes, that was little Francesca, who came over from France in the late 1700s and worked in a pub or actually it was called an inn in those days, in Newport in the Isle of Wight. And this little girl had to work very hard, and the innkeeper had his nasty way with her, and she became pregnant. And in the end, she was killed. And quite recently, within the last few years, her clothes were found hidden in a chimney breast when they were renovating a building. And I was contacted to go and rescue this, but they wanted to do it as part of a television program.
To film it, yes.
And when I got there, I realized that the spirit had actually moved on.
That's amazing.
Well, it was.
You didn't feel its presence, yes.
Well, I had the problem is, do I tell the viewers that the spirit is still there and go through the motions, or do I tell the truth?
Absolutely.
And I decided it was best to tell the truth. And I explained that I was very pleased to tell everybody that she had actually moved on and that she had found peace. And what had actually happened was that one of the local mediums on the island had done the work just shortly before the broadcast.
Amazing.
So I was at peace, but it did teach me a lesson that you should always tell the truth.
Absolutely. I mean but it's very important to work with integrity, but also in a sense it's confirmed that you didn't actually pick up on it. If it was there, you would have probably picked up on that.
That's right. It was a very old building, and of course buildings that were built around the sort of 1800s, they've got a lot of different energies in them because there's so much history there.
Absolutely.
The fabric of the building holds the energy, so you can get strange things in places like that.
How long can a spirit be earthbound, Wilma?
Usually they're not earthbound for that many years, but you can get some who have been there for a very long time simply because they don't know where else to go. After a sort of a battle, I did some rescue work in a battle which was done in the 1700s in Scotland against the English. And
you're from Scotland, of course.
There were still quite a lot of spirits there because they obviously were far from home and didn't know where to go.
So they can actually kind of get stuck in our time for hundreds of years.
It can happen. But, again, we're only talking about a very small percentage.
Right. And do animals get earthbound as well?
Normally, no, because animals, they don't have the complex thoughts that we have in our mind. So they don't have any feelings of guilt or anything. They just go happily off. But you do get the occasional animal who will stay to be with its master.
Right. As loyalty,
They won't go leave the master.
Yeah.
So that on that occasion you will find that there's a dog perhaps with a spirit, but generally they go straight over.
And have you ever dowsed either for an earthbound spirit or for a dead body?
You can, and quite a lot of dowsers do this.
Because you're an expert dowser, of course, and you're a member of the British Dowsing Society.
That's right, British Society of Dowsers. If anybody would like to learn about dowsing, the British Society has a very good website, and there's lots of advice there. You can dowse to find bodies, and quite a lot of mediums have been called in various places by the police to do this to work. And that you can also dowse to find if there is a spirit there, you can find whether it's male or female, how many years it has been there, what was the cause of its death, how did it come to be there, was it a member of staff, the household staff,
right,
or had it been the owner of a house. So you can actually dowse quite a lot of information about the spirit. So
you can use that sort of in combination with the spirit releasing work.
That's right. A lot of people do, and you literally ask the question and you get yes/no answers.
Is there? Do you do any kind of other psychic protection? I mean, is psychic protection necessary when you're working with earthbound spirits?
Yes, and when you're dowsing, it's really quite important to cleanse the pendulum before you use it.
Yes, of course.
Because particularly people using crystals, it does collect negative energy, in which case it will give you the wrong answer. So it's really quite important to cleanse it before you use it. Now, you can do this simply by mentally running a white light through it.
Yes.
Or you can dip it in water with some sea salt, which can be bought from any supermarket.
Right.
And it's always worth sort of saying a word of protection.
Yes.
Or putting a white light of protection around yourself before you do it.
That's lovely. So you can also do that mentally. I mean, because a lot of people get really kind of concerned. How do I cleanse my crystals or my pendulums? So what you're saying is we can do that by intention.
Yes, it's all about the power of intent. And if you intend it to be cleansed by whatever method you use, then it will be effective.
And of course, in the book, you actually detail the methodology and the steps to take, or the basic rules you call them to follow when removing entities.
Yes. It's actually very straightforward. And what I've done in the book is I've tried to make it sort of free of any technical jargon, so that people can understand and not, be confused.
What is geopathic stress, Wilma?
Geopathic stress is negative energy which rises from underground water, which is very deep under the ground. We're talking about several hundred feet. It's not a little local stream that runs under the house.
Right.
And the rays rise from the water, and they get contaminated on their way to the Earth's surface.
Right.
And the problem is they have to travel quite a distance up, so they're passing through sort of faulty electric and magnetic lines and things like that. So by the time they get up to the Earth's surface, they are actually quite powerful negative lines.
Right.
And if you happen to be sleeping over one of those, it will weaken your immune system. And once it's been cleared, you find that people, they say, well, we're now waking up feeling fresh, or our quality of sleep is so much better since it's been cleared.
So it's more like a ley line or an energy line rather than literally water passing under the house where it was built?
Yes, it's the energy from the water.
From the energy.
Yes.
And once it's cleared, is that more or less permanent, or does one have to do that again?
No, once it's cleared, it should, if it's done properly, it should stay cleared.
Wilma, I'd love to talk to you more about dowsing. Would you come back and talk to us again?
Yes, I'd be delighted to. Thank you.
And I wish you all the success with your book. And we're counting on our listeners the world over.
It's published by Llewellyn.
And it's also available in the UK, in the US, in bookstores, as well as on Amazon.
And from Amazon.
Yes.
So, yes.
Would you please give our listeners your website for more information?
Yes, it's wilmadavidson.co.uk.
And that's one word, wilmadavidson.co.uk.
Yes.
It's really lovely to talk to you, Wilma.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it.
And all the best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.